So glad to see you again. We finished with perception the last time, and I want to kind of hone in on that concerning perception and perspective. Now, we're talking about mental health. We understand perception is the way we see ourselves, and the way we see ourselves really governs or controls the way we see the world around us. The last time we were together, we talked about validating. It's often a mistake to validate a point of view by a strong emotion. That means that my emotions are controlling my thoughts when God gave us our minds to control our emotions. Now, suppressing your emotion and controlling your emotion is not the same thing. Walking around with a blank expression is suppressing or holding down your emotion. That's not controlling them. Because what you're doing is trying to put a gate up, a strong door up in front of your emotions so that they're not seen. That does not mean you're controlling them. That means you're suppressing them, that you're holding them down. Okay, now, oftentimes, watch how intuitive God made us. If I feel the need to suppress my emotions, I am hiding something from the people that are around me that I know may not be beneficial to their perception of me. It may change the way they think if they hear what I have to say, because my words are driven by how I feel when they should be driven by how I think and supported by how I feel. Now, how's that going to work? Watch this. So perception is about you. Perspective is about others. Perception is about you and I. Perspective is about others. So Jesus is mighty, everlasting, and a wonderful counselor. A miracle working counselor. Salvation's fruit is a sound mind. You read it before. A sound mind. What does that mean? A mind that can think through the problem. So you're in the park. There's a bunch of trees. You've been playing ball. The ball's gone into the wooded part of the park, and you have to go and get the ball. You can see the ball. Well, what's logical is you're going to walk, keep your eye on the ball, and if there's any trees in the way, you're going to go around them. The sound mind gives you the ability to see a problem and then work your way through it. So the sound mind gives you the ability to stay focused on it. Watch this, not get frustrated because you can see where you need to be, but you're thinking your way through the issue. That makes sense, doesn't it? But when I'm emotional, I can physically or emotionally run into barriers and not be able to get around. So God says, I want to give you this sound mind. So, sound mind means that you'll be able to cooperate with the Word and with the Spirit while living a productive, progressive life every day of your life. Now, one of the things that has to happen, a lot of Christians don't want problems, and none of us invite them, hopefully. So I guess maybe we do sometime. But the reality is that we need to be able to navigate life, and God, once again, equips us to do it. He says, I've not given you the spirit of fear, but I've given you the spirit of power, the spirit of love, and the spirit of a sound mind, a mind that can think through, a mind that is not controlled by how we feel. So the strength of low self-esteem, the strength of negative ways of addressing life, the strength of expecting to be disappointed, which indicates that you've been disappointed before, but somewhere in your life profoundly disappointed. The strength of negative voices. The strength that some things happen in life that transform us. Some things just, you break up with somebody, and this time it's different. You get disappointed. This time it's different. A lot of times, what I want you to remember is that a real strong reaction, sometimes an overreaction in your present, the source of that reaction is not what was done that particular moment. The strength of that reaction is an accumulative effect. And in this situation, you happen to react excessively. You shocked yourself. And we tend to blame the present situation for something that has been fed historically. So I'm reacting today because of something that is built up over time. But I tend to blame it, watch this, on the person or the circumstance that I display the strong emotion in front of. So they did this, they did. No, in order to get a grip on this, I've got to understand, why did I overreact so much? Why did I react so strongly today? Well, there's something in our history. I'm going to talk to you about how to discover this in a little while. There's something in our history that fuels, that's the word I want to use, that fuels the reaction. So the strength of low self-esteem or negative outlooks are often the result of trauma at some point in life. Trauma's long-term effect is to produce voices. Trauma's long-term effect is to produce voices. Watch this. That present situations, people, situations validate or find agreement with. Watch how this works now. Trauma, the long-term effect of it is it produces voices in us. Voices in our minds that, watch this, affirm the hurt from the past. So I'm hearing in the present, but I'm reacting to something that began a long time ago. Now, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but when something significant has happened in the past, it will almost cause me to invalidate something positive in my present and in the future. So I prepare to be disappointed. I prepare to be let down. I've counseled people that they can't hear anything positive because the voices of those negative circumstances are so strong that even if you say something that's going to help them, they twist that thing to fit into the negative narrative that's going on inside of them. So we've got to understand something. Trauma produces a voice in our minds, and that voice, watch this, will invalidate anything that's not like it. This is so important. So you mean to tell me that I can get hurt in the past, and the voices that I have now, the voice of the circumstance, the voice of the offender, the voice of the situation, the voice of the trauma, will absolutely affirm my hurt in the present and the future. Absolutely. You're getting it. I know you're getting it. So I'll prepare to be disappointed. I'll prepare to be offended. Almost to the point that if someone's trying to help you, you have to find a way to be, this is going to sound crazy, you're going to have to find a way to be offended by the help. Now, when I say it, it doesn't make intellectual sense, but it makes emotional sense. Because if I'm used to being disappointed, my trauma has prepared me to be disappointed. I've got to find something wrong with the help you're giving me. Because the voice of disappointment needs to be validated. So much so that I can't hear the help God is sending me. In the multiple voices in our mind, we are giving attention to one of the voices that confirms our hurts. Wow. So I'm in a good environment, but the only way I feel comfortable is to look for something that's wrong. Now, these people are pretty common because they don't celebrate much. You'll find that they are quick to criticize, and the celebration, if any at all, is very minimal. What you and I would call a dry response. You know how, you tell somebody, I heard so-and-so's house caught on fire. Really? I heard so-and-so graduated from college. That's nice. That's nice. Oh, that's nice. That's a dry response. That comes from a place of not being able to celebrate something good happening in someone else's life because it does not affirm my voice of disappointment, of failure, of hurt. Watch how this goes now. So, what do? I've got this thing going on in my head, and, the only thing that makes me feel alive is something that feeds the negativity in my life. You and I both know that anger is not strength, that resentment is not strength, that feeling rejection gives you is not strength. It does produce a guarded individual where you kind of shield yourself from everybody. But Jesus says you got to listen to what I'm saying. The Bible has been written for you and I to have the ability to transform that hurt into a place of peace, and that place of peace into a place of promise. So what the Lord wants to do, what Jesus does, by counseling us through his word, but also having conversations like we're having, is to absolutely address two things: how you see yourself, and then how you react to the world around you. But nothing changes with the way you see the world working around you until the voices of your trauma have been defeated. Now, I'm not one of those guys going to tell you that this stuff happens overnight. We're talking about transformation, which means there's a process. You got to put the work in. You got to put the work in. What's the work? That you have to expose yourself to being taught, to being counseled. Because if you don't, you'll continue to be dominated by the voices of what went wrong in your life. Transformation involves a new set of information. You can't be transformed without a new set of information. Now watch this. When your emotions are in charge, you run the same tape over and over again. Same tape over and over again. Now, how does that work? So I've known people, I'm sure you know somebody, who carries an offense that was not that big a deal to most people, but huge to them. And it allows them to dislike someone for 10, 20 years. So you begin to ask them what happened. They tell you, and it's like, in your mind, you're saying, is that all? Here's the problem. To many people, it would seem as though the infraction was very small. To them, it's huge. So you're looking at a pebble when they describe it. They're describing it like it's a mountain, and they're describing it like it just happened. But it's 10 years old, 15 years old. So you're kind of puzzled why they hold on to this, because it affirms. Let's narrow it down to something. So say there's a grudge against an individual, and you go back to when the grudge started, or when the offense started, and the offense started 10 years ago, 12 years ago, 15 years ago. And in that context, you find out that the thing that happened was really small. The problem usually is that the offending person was someone that the offended person already had a personal issue with. Never had an argument with them, never had a problem with them, but lo and behold, I'm envious of the attention they get, the honor they get, the way they look, the success they have, the way they dress, the popularity, their outgoingness, that kind of thing. So I've got this personal issue. So I latch on to something that's so small, hold on to it for 10 or 12 or 15 years. In everybody's mind, it was just this. In their mind, it's huge because it affirms an offending voice in the individual. It gives me permission, if you will, to dislike the person I already had a problem with. So say two of your friends, and you show up late for dinner date. They go ballistic. Do you honestly think that that's what that's about? But they go through this whole list of stuff. You're late. Now, you're never late now. I'm not talking about irresponsible people. You're always on time. You're very considerate of that person. You try to help them, blah, blah, blah. They go nuts. And you wonder, well, where is all this coming from? Many times, there's underlying jealousy between friends. Why? You seem to get all the favor. People seem to like you more than me. You've been through this before. So all of a sudden, they go ballistic over something small. You were a little late. And then they start talking about how inconsiderate you are. Now, watch this. This emotional outburst ignores everything you've ever done for the person. That stuff doesn't matter. What matters right now, you were late. This is how I feel. You're saying, wow. So you're thinking, now, what's the problem? There was a problem before the offense. And it could be something you never imagined. Something personal. Maybe the job you have. Maybe the success you had in life. But you guys are friends and you've never let that be a problem between the two of you. Perhaps you've even given the person things. Now, a lot of times when, this is just an aside, I'll get this now. A lot of times when you are good to a person, they begin to try to pick you apart because they never feel like they can repay you. So watch what happens. So you and this person are friends. I don't know who this is for. You and this person are friends, and all of a sudden it blows up. And you're like still bewildered as to what happened. Because you had validly done everything a good friend does for that person. And something small and insignificant, I'm going to help you for the rest of your life, blows the relationship completely apart. And they won't tell you what it was. I don't want to talk about it. Two things. The explanation only makes sense in their head. If they said it out loud, it would embarrass them. They know this, so they keep it in their head. Because it doesn't measure against how good you've been to them. That's the first thing that happens. It doesn't make sense anywhere but in their head, so they can't. Now, here, the other reason they can't express it to you, because to say it out loud is going to make them look silly. Then some people will say the thing out loud, make themselves look silly, and then feel self-conscious, feel some kind of way because you won't validate the silliness. The next thing that happens is the relationship explodes simply because you've been so good to the person. They feel like they could never pay you back, so they have to find an offense to make an exit. This is making sense to about 1 million of you right now. So you mean to tell me, Bishop, that yes, I'm telling you this. Sometimes people that you've been good to get a sense of resentment have a twisted admiration for you. They feel that they'll never pay you back. So the only way they can equalize themselves, create some equivalency, is to be very critical of you, try to bring you down with words. And sometimes they have to exit the relationship because in their minds they feel, I could never pay this person back for what they've done. That's human nature. All right, let's get back to this because I only have a few more minutes. So in order for transformation to happen, you can't do it without a new set of knowledge. You have to have a new set of knowledge come into your life. A new stream of knowledge has to come into your life. There's no way to do this thing and have the same old, if you will, information, reacting to the same information. You've got to get some new information. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Old things pass away. All things become new. I've got to allow some new things to come, and I've got to be intentional about doing the work to allow the new knowledge to take root in my life. So, the voices of trauma resist outside knowledge. The voices of our trauma often resist any new information coming in because I feel strong and validated by how I feel. So I can't entertain anything new because I'm really sure that how I feel is how I should feel. And this place that I'm in my head is the place I need to be because I've validated this strong feeling. I've validated this situation, how I feel by strong emotion. And I don't need you giving me some additional information because I don't want to think any differently than I'm thinking. I know you know at least one person like this. Watch this now. So these voices, I got to get this new knowledge, and that new knowledge should lead me or should generate some new conclusions within the consultation from other voices. So I become more open to voices other than the voice of my pain. I become open to other voices other than the voice of my trauma. Open to other voices other than the voice of my rejection. Voices produced by negative situations. I will start to overcome those voices if I will allow myself to hear and receive other counsel, other wisdom, other knowledge. The transformation cannot happen, will not begin until I start taking on some new information. I got to download some new stuff. I've got to allow some old things to die off. I've got to allow some new things to come in. Now, according to 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 10, we are exposed to a lot of voices. 1 Corinthians 14, verse 10 lets us know we're exposed to a lot of voices in our lives. Whether they're internal or external, all seem significant, all seem real, or all have a source in something. Let me say that again. There are internal voices, there are external voices. All of them seem significant, therefore all of them seem real, and absolutely all of them have a source in something. Because voices are influential, according to 1 Corinthians 14:10. Now, you may be scrambling for your Bible right now, but let me explain it to you what the Bible's saying to you. We're exposed to a lot of voices. Those voices could be internal. The voices can be external. All those voices are significant. They seem, watch this, let me use that word, they seem significant, which means all of them should not be significant. Why do I say that? Because we decide what's significant in our lives. So just because it's said to you doesn't mean you have to believe it's significant. Just because the internal voice of some trauma has come along, you don't have to claim its life-changing significance for you. But every voice has some significance or seems significance. Every voice, therefore, is real. And all of them have a source in something. This is why voices or things said to us, whether internally or externally, influence us. We're influenced by these voices, those in us and those outside of us. Now, verse 11 says, I have to know the meaning of the voice. In other words, the origin or the source of the voice that's driving me. So watch this now. Let's make sure we understand. Every situation you've ever been in, I call it has an echo. Every relationship has an echo. Every job has an echo. Every good thing has an echo. Every bad thing has an echo. Absolutely produces a voice that carries over time. We hear it. We're influenced by it. All of us get there. All of us. Voices of our childhood, voices of our adolescence, voices of past relationships. All of us are exposed to voices. Now, the Bible says, I have to know the meaning of the voice, the origin of the voice, the source of that voice that's speaking to me. That voice that causes me to be critical of other people. That voice that causes me to negatively compare myself to others. That voice that expects to be disappointed and rejected. What am I telling myself? That I walk into a room full of strangers and absolutely have decided nobody's going to like me. I'm not going to like anybody. There's some stuff going on. Right? Yeah, stuff going on. Watch this. Let's use an example. Let's say you're triggered by something. Let's say you're triggered by something. Words spoken to you produce feelings and emotions and then mindsets, strongholds. So you react based on the source. Let's see it again now. Say, I don't know what triggers you. There are not many things that trigger me now. Somebody mess with one of my kids. That can. Me seeing a woman being assaulted. That can trigger some things in me. Over time, you learn how to control things. That's not your business. That is your business. Get involved, not get involved. Been in some situations before, years ago, that made the news. And, I was at the train station and my mom was coming to pick me up. And this guy was a little out of his mind, well, very much out of his mind. And he was spitting and giving people a hard time. And the young policeman, one of those transit police, went to talk to the guy. And when he got close to the guy that was out of his mind grabbed his gun. And all I could think is that my mom and the guy was being overpowered. The officer was being overpowered. So I'm sitting there. But before, what was really weird about this, before the violence broke out, I asked the lady sitting next to me on the bench, I said, if you're scary or you're afraid of violent situations, I think you need to go inside the train station. When she looked at me, I said, I'm serious. If you're afraid, you need to go inside. She went inside the train station. A second later, this altercation breaks out. Well, I'm thinking my mom is coming to the train station, and I stand up and I go close to the guy, and this all happens in a split second. I see my mom. I scream to her, go inside. The guy grabs the officer's gun. They're wrestling on the ground. I jump on the guy, and he fires the pistol several times, the Magnum, several times in the direction. Hits nothing. I get the gun off the guy. Well, police come to the house, press comes. It's a big deal. But I got involved because the idea of someone getting hurt innocently triggered a response in me. Very strong response. Based on the fact that I'd watched some things happen in my younger days. You know, I raised in the projects. I saw innocent people get hurt at times. And something triggered. Didn't care about my personal safety, just went at it. And, come to find out, I didn't make that big a deal of it because my mom was in the station. And we went home. And, of course, I had to give some information. But after that, hit the news. They gave me a commendation. It was crazy. But I was triggered by that. And that was something good that happens. But how many times have we been triggered by a voice from the past in a situation in the present, and that it did not show our best side? You went off. Did not show our best side at all. And watch what happens. You start talking about what happened, and you start bringing up all these old feelings, because voices never have their origination just in the present, always fueled by stuff that happened in the past. I think I'm running out of time, but I want to make sure that you get what I'm saying to you. I'm going to teach you how to connect the dots. Back to some childhood trauma. Whether you're one of those people that are pessimistic about everything, you got to learn how to connect the dots. Got to get to the source. Whether you're walking around one of those people that look sad all the time, whether that is an affected look because you're trying to look serious, trying to protect yourself because you're not a fighter. You can't fight. All you got is your mouth, but you look stern, so you're hoping that keeps people away from you. Maybe you came up in a negative home. Sometimes some people come up in homes that are not especially encouraging. Sometimes you've had some negative personal situations, either relationships or people picked on you in school, or perhaps, you weren't considered classically attractive like everyone else is. And that can build up. And trauma, failed relationship can give you some trauma. How many people have had bad relationships and then write off every new relationship? Watch this. And do things to destroy the relationship in the future, and then are shocked when the relationship fails. Because that old stuff is driving the new stuff. Makes sense? Watch this now. Sometimes we don't recover well from whatever. That can create or amplify the voices within. Sometimes failure, career failure, relationship failure, friendship failures can create voices within us. The first step to conquer the voices is to connect the dots. Next time we get together, I'm going to show you how to do this. I need you to write me, because I need to give you a little homework. I need for you to write down the top 3 significant positive and the top 3 significant negative events, relationships, situations that have happened in your life. I need you to write down the effect of the top 3 positive things. And here's the part where you're going to have to do some work. I need you to write down the effect of the top 3 negative things in your life. I want you to be brutally honest as you are with the positive events, situations, people. I want you to be brutally honest with yourself about the negative events and people. Because what's going to happen? I'm going to show you how to find the fuel to that thing that triggers you. And then we're going to cut that thing off. I'm going to show you how to connect the dots from a present emotion back to a source, whether it's emotional, family, relational. I'm going to show you how to get from where you are right now, what triggers you now, back to the source. So that, watch this, it's not going to make the thing go away. It's going to give you the ability to manage it, to control it, to overcome it, if you will, biblical language, pull down that stronghold. Well, I hope this has helped you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk to you about something as personal as this. But I believe the Word of God when it says Jesus is a wonderful counselor and He is the Prince of Peace. He's going to bring balance back to your life. You won't be emotionally driven. You'll be able to control the things that are trying to drive you into negative outcomes. What we don't want to do is allow the past and the voices that are produced by the past to influence us to where we're sabotaging relationships, sabotaging opportunities, won't step into new opportunities because fear, holding back, preparing to be rejected, actually not happy if not rejected. We got to get it all that, going to break all that up, put that stuff away. Old things pass away. Behold, all things become new. See you next time.
Praise the Lord. I'm so glad you took the time to join me today as we walk through the Word of God and gain the wisdom of God. I hope you will stay connected, like us, subscribe to us, hit that notification bell. I'm looking forward to spending time in the Word with you. Now you stay strong, stay saved, and remember, faith acts like a thing is so, even when it's not so, that it might be so. God bless you, and I'll see you next time.